Coming on right now, however, is my guest artist for the 9 o'clock hour, coming from someplace in Wales. Richard Ellin, is that a correct pronunciation?
Yes, that's correct. Hello, Phil.
Hello, Richard. How are you tonight?
Well, it's
Excuse me, this
morning here,
morning.
but I'm fine. Let me say thank you very much for having me on. It's very good. This is my first interview in the USA.
Well, it's good to be the first. You know, do you know Pat Tynan?
I know Pat Tynan very well.
Oh, Pat Tynan sent me an email with a link to your music, I Am the God of Einstein. And I will be honest with you, I had never heard of you before. I had never heard of And Did Those Feet, but when listening was all that it took to want to have you on the show.
Thank you very much.
And the band, or the group, which is, I think, probably, it may come and go in terms of personnel. I don't know. I'd like to know a bit more about how it has worked since either. And by the way, finding information, because here I am in North America and there you are in Wales, it was not so easy. So I read in one place that And Did Those Feet was formed in 1992. And I also read that it was formed in 1997.
Right, yeah, it's a little bit confusing. I think we take it from our first album, which was 1997, although I did start working with a singer probably in 1992, or different singers, but I never recorded anything and we never gigged. I'd probably recorded the album a few years earlier, but I didn't have the courage to release it until 1997.
Well, and so And Did Those Feet, I read somewhere, is rather a vehicle for presenting songs you write in a
That's
way that
correct,
you want
yeah.
the songs presented. So
That's
starting
correct.
back to whenever the beginning was, really, who was the core of how many in the group, for example, and who were they?
Well, as you say, Phil, it's varied enormously over the years. I set up the group while I was living in London still. It was just myself and one singer to start with. And I invited friends along into it who also had songs. So the first album has got two friends on it and they bring their own songs. So it's a bit of a mix of instrumental, my songs, and somebody else's songs. It was originally exclusive for my songs, but I'm quite a gregarious man. And if somebody has material that fits into the idea of the music, then and the song and the material is good, then I'm quite happy to have them on board. And then I left London, came down to Wales, and because there was no band as such, I started all over again. And I went to the local recording studio in a place called Cardigan in West Wales. I'm in deep rural West Wales at the moment, and it's just the dawn is just breaking here. I found a local studio in the phone book of all places, just to check them out. And I went down there, and I play guitar quite a bit. And when they realized I was playing guitar, and I was also in the music business, they wanted to know they kept playing me all these other guitarists that they'd been recording, and I wasn't interested. But they had this singer and this lady called Ina Williams. And I went, wow, she's got a really interesting voice. I said, can I have her phone number? And I've made 3 albums with Ina Williams, Welsh singer, as the principal singer. But unfortunately, of late, she's got a terrible problem with her throat. She can't sing anymore. So I had to find a new principal singer, and which we did with a lady called Lorraine Salwa, who is
So Richard, why don't
now
we
living in Canada.
why don't we play a track from your I Am the God of Einstein? And since you mentioned Ina is her name, then Ina Williams, let's play something that she has sung, and we can talk some more and then play pieces by other singers as well.
Right.
So what would you like me to play?
Islands Over Time.
You want to talk about it before we play it?
Yeah, it's a song. It's in 3 parts, all distinctly different. This is an example of the kind of music that interests me, because it's like the first part was written consciously, the second part was written semi-consciously, and the third section came very fast, very, very deep from the unconscious. And I still don't quite understand what that section is saying.
Islands Over Time, and Did Those Feet.
Haunted all her days and night by the gentle way, knowing that the state of grace is where she wants to stay. Islands over time, islands over time, somewhere in between her soul and inner mind. Islands over time, islands over time. All things matter at the soul of the day. Blessings given on their fall. All things matter at the soul of the day. On her mantle to adore, revealing the mysteries where the forces flow, journeying to places only few will ever go. Islands over time, islands over time, somewhere in between her soul and inner mind. Islands over time, islands over time. All things matter at the soul of the day. Blessings given on their fall. All things matter at the soul of the day. On her mantle to
And my guest is Richard Ellin, and his group is called And Did Those Feet. And Richard needs to explain why he named his group such an unusual name for sure.
I was a bit worried you were going to ask that question. It's of course it's the first line of William Blake's poem called Jerusalem. Obviously, I'm English, so I feel I have some kind of a claim on it. I must admit, when I picked that name, I picked it very instantly. Just came to me, and I just thought, okay, that sounds an unusual kind of a name, bit of a mouthful, but nevertheless, we'll go with. But I always felt a bit of a fraud picking that name. It's a bit grandiose, isn't it? You know, it's our unofficial. It's the unofficial English national anthem, the tune by Parry, who put the words to it. It's very famous, obviously. But as I said, I felt a bit of a fraud when I had that for quite a while. But I felt I'd earned the name when I recorded a song called What It All Was Worth. Now, that uses a tune that is about 500 or 600 years old. I took the tune from this very, well, some people say it's Scottish, other people say it's Northeast England. I'm not sure. It's a song called Cow the Ewes. The dialect in the melody is so dense and so incomprehensible. I thought the tune is beautiful, and I'll go and try a new set of words on it to sort of give it relevancy. But that was a tune that was sang. Well, no one knows when it was written, but it was certainly recorded. Oh, not recorded. It was played to Queen Elizabeth I, sang by a gypsy singer. That is on record. And it is recorded in a book of melancholy, and it's also in Playford. So, but no one knows when it actually happened. And I felt once I'd done that, I felt I'd earned the right to call the band And Did Those Feet. I really was happy, I didn't have a problem with it anymore. So that's how the name came about, and that's why. I mean, some people, when I moved to Wales, some people thought it was ridiculous. Here I'm in Wales with clearly an English-sounding band, and I just thought, well, I'm not going to change it.
So shall we play that song? I have it from your I Am the God of Einstein.
Yeah, it's the second track, although I'm not quite happy with the lyrics anymore. I would change them if I could, but they're okay as far as they go.
Okay, Richard Ellin, we'll play that now, and
Okay,
we'll come back and talk about some more music and talk about you some too.
lovely.
Weary from the days of callousness, in the dance to the tune of Make It Pay, what would I give for a moment in time to make these troubles go away? Yet this fool compelled to work this land, a victim of circumstance and birth, will come to know at the end of his days precisely what it all was worth. So I dream of times that are to be, when no one is prisoner to this fate, and all will know that the soul of the world is held within a newborn state. Weary from the days of callousness, in the dance to the tune of Make It Pay, what would I give for a moment in time to make these troubles go away? Yet this fool compelled to work this land, a victim of circumstance and birth, will come to know at the end of his days
My guest is Richard Ellin, who wrote the lyrics, now says he would change them. Why would you want to change them, and in what way?
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about. It evokes a certain kind of self-pity, and I'm not sure whether it's the right sort of self-pity. It's an esoteric kind of a thing I've got. It niggles me that I did this. I mean, I was happy with it at the time, but like a few songs that I've written, I go, well, maybe I should have done it differently. I've not attempted to alter it anyway. I will leave it as it is. I'm not going to go back and redo it. I mean, it wasn't that bad.
Well, for people for whom this is a favorite album, I don't think they would approve.
Fair enough. Yeah, I won't do a Bob Dylan and change some of the lyrics that I loved.
I have a couple of paragraphs I wanted to read about you. Introduction. Yeah. I thought we'd listen to music and talk a little first, but what I have pieced together from various web pages and such is Richard was born in Sheffield, England in 1951, making him a younger man than I. Richard has had an unusual career in the music industry, having left a career in the newspaper and magazine industry at the age of 35. He became ad director on CD Review, then set up a CD agency for Coke Digital Disc in the UK, acquired Plant Life Osmosis or something records after setting up his own Terra Nova Records, meaning that music has been a big part of his life for a long while. He currently owns and publishes R&R Magazine and continues writing songs every day. He's writing, or maybe has written. His autobiography is to be published sometime in 2026. The title is a long title. What is the title, Richard?
From the Albert Hall to Llangranog Fish and Chip Shop in 30 Difficult Years.
Okay, could you explain that a little bit for us, please?
I certainly could. I once, in the early 70s, I played violin in the Portsmouth Sinfonia. The Portsmouth Sinfonia was an orchestra set up for people that couldn't really play but were keen. It was serious, but it was just hilariously funny. And it was the music sounded like a school band, only 10 times worse, because it was people that really, we couldn't play properly. I got a violin and I just tried to do something with it, but we were doing famous pieces of music, and we were crucifying them. And it was and we finally played the Albert Hall. We had our own prom. It was sold the Albert Hall out. But some people didn't know it was a kind of, not a joke, but some people didn't know what it was. And you could see them running back to go and get their money back at the end of before it even began. But the people that knew just found it hilarious, and there were some very funny moments in it. We had a choir doing the Hallelujah chorus. They were no rehearsal whatsoever. It was shambolic, but it's a kind of English can-do spirit, So that was when my Albert Hall thing was. So it wasn't, it wasn't I don't know how you call it. It wasn't a professional thing at all. And then sort of fast forward, probably more than 30 years, my neighbor was a kind of a singer, a very good singer of cover songs. He had a good, decent voice. He used to do around the pubs with his guitar. And he said, come with me. I've got this gig at this fish and chip shop in a place called Llangranog, which is by the coast, lovely little coastal village. Elgar went there there's an Elgar connection to it. And my instinct said, don't do this, don't do it. But he kind of persuaded me, and I thought, well, just to keep the peace, I'll go. And I play very, very soft acoustic guitar. I don't use my nails. I use finger ends on nylon strings. And unamplified, it just dies after about 6 foot. Anyway, I'm sat in the middle of this fish and chip shop playing. And now this was the funny thing, because I was interested in Emmanuel Defier's Tri-Cornered Hat. And I was trying to play guitar in that style. which is very stop-start. It's very kind of abstract, not very lyrical, a little bit and then a bit more. And I was so obsessed into that way of playing at that time that I went into the middle of Clangrannog Fish and Chip Shop, and I carried on playing in that style of music. And I was so quiet. And and halfway through, I thought, this is just ridiculous. You know, these were people having their fish and chips on holiday with this. I just thought, you can't eat your fish and chips to this.
And therefore the title of your autobiography. I'm curious,
Yeah.
now, as I explained, having then read Pat Tynan's email and downloaded the music and listened and realized I was listening to music by somebody I had never heard of. Well, here in the United
Right.
States, no great surprise, I don't suppose, but a heck of a question here. But how well known are you in the UK?
Not very well known. Back when I started recording with Ina, I got quite a few plays on BBC Two, which was a big station. And I did quite a few interviews on BBC local radio. We performed live on BBC Wales a few times. We did the Royal Welsh Show. We did that 2 years running, which was quite an accolade. So we got yeah, quite well known. Trouble is, we never did many live gigs.
And why is that?
My problem is, Phil, I have incredible stage fright. Terrible. It's like I tried getting over it all sorts of times, and it's like sometimes it's so bad I can hard if it's. We did live on BBC Wales once, and it was my fault. We were under rehearsed. And as soon as I thought we were going to pre-record it, but they'd said no, you're going to go live. It was just like, oh, such agony. I almost thought I was going to get ill from it. Chronic stage fright. I don't know why, because I don't get frightened at any other circumstance. I'm not fairly gregarious, and I'm not a reclusive kind of a man. But somehow when it comes to that, so I tried overcoming my stage fright I formed a group called Latitude, which was 2 acoustic guitars, and it was all improvisational material. And I loved it. I thought we started doing weddings, we started doing local cafes, and we were, we got pretty good. We always felt between us we made one very good guitarist. And I thought, and I remember it well, because I've always had to be dragged screaming to a live concert to play. But there was one concert that we did. There was a guy who used to play in a group called Steel Eye Span. Do you know Steel Eye Span?
I do, yes.
Right. Well, I was a big friend of their guitarist called Ken Nicol. And he was doing a concert where I worked, actually, in Wynivore. I'd managed to get myself and this other guitarist called Paul onto the support. We were the support slot for the evening. And for the first time in my life, I was really looking forward to going and playing live music in front of people. And it never happened before. I've always, because we knew it was improvised. We knew if it started going slightly off, we knew how to bring it back on again. And, we could work very well together. And lo and behold, you wouldn't believe this, I had a heart attack before the concert.
That is not a good way to... Oh.
I remember the ambulance taking me away, and I saw my guitar buddy, Paul, said, I know I've pulled some tricks to get out of a concert call, Paul, but this is...
And you have recovered, I can see.
He had to... So I think it's like, I can laugh about it, obviously, got to.
So, and Did Those Feet is going to be a studio band.
Well, it's like life just has pointed me to sort of sit in my room and write songs.
Well, and then record them as well. And
record them. Oh, I love recording them. I love studios.
And these recordings that I'm playing tonight and have been listening to for several weeks now, what is your role other than writing the songs?
Interfering with the arrangements sometimes.
Okay.
All I know, I mean, I try and pick my people very carefully who I get to do them. I mean, like those pieces that we've just heard was arranged by a guy called Harvey Summers. He did the strings, and he's marvelous. He really very careful man. So if I'm looking for strings, then he's my go-to man. But I've got a couple of one other producer called Gavin Beckwith, who is different approaches. He insists on everything having a beat, a click track. You know, sometimes I write my songs. They're a bit up in the air when I write them, and I never think about what kind of rhythm they should be at all. In fact, it never occurs to me. They're written in a very kind of, how shall I say, a Delian kind of a way. You know, I never think about, oh, there's a different what time signature it's in, 4/4/3 for whatever. You know, it's don't think about it.
Okay, Richard, can we play another song? Can we play another song?
Yeah, let's play one by Lauren. Let's play. That's one of the first ones we did with her. Let's play the Homeward Tide. That is number 6.
Any comments about it before we play it?
Yeah, it turned out very, very well. I was happy with this. Again, I never write love songs, but I suppose this is. I mean, it is. If you dig a little bit deeper into it, it's about a man and a woman. And it's discussing the very difficult subject of who's going to be the first to go in the relationship, which an older man like me would probably write. Not the 18-year-old me would couldn't even begin to write this.
Let's listen to it now, and we'll
listen to it.
We'll talk again, and we have about another 20 minutes or so of some chat and some music. But the Homeward Tide, this is one that because like. The album, as it came to me, the order is different from what you think it is in front of me.
All right.
And this was the first one I heard, and I really was moved by it.
Right.
Sentinels alone they stand, beacons that shine through night skies, on the hills or by the sand, where seabirds make all their cries. Far across the ocean waves, sailors will know meaning in these beams of light as port bound they go. Sometimes words can never say how we feel inside, like a sailor on the homeward tide, like a sailor on the homeward tide. Far away beyond the deep, Sophie is starting her day, rising from a dreamless sleep, turns to her husband to say, even though you have become my greatest friend, I know that one day our time will certainly end. Sometimes words can never say how we feel inside, like a sailor on the homeward tide. Oh, like a sailor on the homeward tide. bittersweet, but somehow though everything seems to have shown, there's no point in worrying of things we cannot change. After all, real life is more than shallow and strange. Sometimes words can never say how we feel inside, like a sailor on the homeward tide, like a sailor on the homeward tide, on the homeward tide.
And my guest here on Cast Our Laps for the next 20 minutes or so, and the last 20 minutes or so, is Richard Ellin, coming to us from West Wales. And I was going to mention to you that I don't recognize the name of your village, but I might very well have driven through it quite a few years ago, like in about 1980 or so.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Mice
well,
Lynn.
we
Oh, which one?
which one? What? Which
Mice
village?
Lynn. The village I live in is called Mice Lynn.
Well, I don't remember because it was 45 years ago.
All right.
But we traveled up the west coast of, well, actually, traveled up the west coast of England, then Ireland, and then Wales, or maybe the other way around. But at any rate, west coasts, and probably went through. What I remember at the time, there was a lot of coal smoke in the air, and
Oh, that sounds like South Wales. Oh, you mean from the houses?
what I was going to say was, anyway, and the other was the people we stayed with, bed and breakfast, generally widows, were very much into Welsh nationalism.
All right.
Yeah. So anyway, they thought we should stay and join their movement, but we didn't really figure we had a whole lot in common with it. But we loved being there anyway. Anyhow, I'm talking with Richard Ellin, as I said. The group, oh, I know what. If I were to, we'll just say hypothetically, and this is very hypothetical indeed, wanting to hire And Did Those Feet for a concert. And I said, I will get a stand-in for Richard Ellin because I know he gets stage fright. We'll get somebody to dress up just like him so people would think, how many people would come? What is the core of And Did Those Feet?
Well, there isn't really a band as such. It's just I find players that are around at the time that I bring it together on each occasion. It's completely fresh. Like, I'm going to see a choir on Friday, a ladies' choir, and I'm hoping that this choir, I've never met them before, but I'm hoping this choir might do. I might be able to convince them to record one of my songs called Ecclesfield East for the next album. I don't know. I'll have to see how good they are, but I'm going to check them out. And so there isn't really. I mean, you could put a band together. You could run several different And Did Those Feats all over the world. You just find a good singer, a nice string section, a good arranger, few backings, maybe a little choral section. And you could run them.
So you could be in the audience. You wouldn't have stage fright at all.
Exactly.
Just as you would want it to be. It seems like one of the elements is female singers with wonderful voices.
Yes, I'm a complete sucker for a good female voice.
And I actually looked up Ina Williams online and found an email address and wrote to her. I don't know that she'll write back. And now you say she, at this point, cannot sing, but she does have albums, I think. She
had one Welsh language album.
Aha.
That was it. Ina's wonderful, but she was trying to do another Welsh language album with an opera singer. She was classically trained, but she never got round to doing it, and I think the guy who she was going to work with died, unfortunately. So she's just done a one Welsh language album, and she's done 3 albums with me. Wonderful to work with. so good. So I send her pretty crappy demo tapes, but she seems to figure them out, and she's like a tape recorder. Even if I've sang it with a slight mistake, she will sing the mistake.
So I'm curious
I
what your
really have to watch her. Think, when we, but she's total professional. Usually gets it in a first take. Always well prepared. Always on time. No trouble whatsoever.
and you found at least I think you found three other vocalists
Oh
for
yeah,
"I Am the
yeah.
God of
I've got.
Einstein."
In fact, we could do another. We could get another vocalist if you want. We could.
Sure.
It's a completely different feel of a song. It's called "Where Are They Now." Now, this particular song, it's a description of Yorkshire life, where I'm from, in the 1950s. It's a kind of way of life that has gone now. And it's what I was very early years, what I was brought up with. And I wanted to do it as a tribute to my parents. And it's describing, I was born in a very poor district, a place called Stone Street, right in the middle of Sheffield. And it was very poor housing, outside toilets. There's no gardens or anything. They're all terraced houses, cobbled streets. I remember it very well. And I wanted to, life was hard, I mean, when I was born, the rationing was still on from the Second World War. Certain things you couldn't get. And life was tough, you lived hand to mouth, basically. And I wanted to do as a tribute to those people that lived through that time, my parents. So I wrote this song. I sent it on a CD to my father. I sent this song on a CD I wanted him to hear it because it was for him. He said, "Oh, I got you." And he speaks in a very Yorkshire accent. And he says, "Oh, I've got your CD, lad." He said, "Well, I've got three things to say to you." He said, "Why weren't there any more tracks on it?" Didn't tell him it cost a few £100 to record it. He said, "Why weren't there any more tracks?" And they said, and secondly, you're mentioning this Bell House Inn. Well, I'll tell you, it was called Bell House Club. And then he said to me, "Who did you steal melody off?" Because my father thought that anyone that could write a memorable melody was a genius. And because his son, me, wasn't a genius, I must have stolen the melody from somebody.
It's not much support you got from your father there.
Well, he's passed now. But
Oh, well.
he was in his 90s. But I thought at least I can get him there. At least I can turn around and say, "Look, I wrote this melody."
Well, let us hear it with your lyrics as
Yeah,
well.
let's play it. And this is sung by a lady called Joan Franklova. She used to be a jazz singer in Prague with the Prague Jazz Quartet, a very famous band in Prague. And this, because she's from the north of England as well.
Stories that we all can tell from the time when we were much younger than the well of wisdom that we see. Paydays, brown envelope with £10 and a shilling. Frank knows Ivy will cope. Rent man's bag will need filling. Wages on the table laid for the money tin. Frank hopes that there's some to spare for drinks at the Bell House Inn.
postman said someone last week nearly had a win. Frank hopes that there's some to spare for drinks at the Bell House Inn. Where are they now? Souls that once were here, living in a northern town, alive with hope and fear. Where have they gone? Those who came this way, living through the pain and joy they found in their dead. Where are they now? Souls that once were here, living in a northern town, alive with hope and fear. Where have they gone? Those who came this way, living through the pain and joy they found in their dead. Where are they now? Where are they now? Where are they now?
Song by Richard Ellin, who also wrote I Am the God of Einstein, which is the title track for his most recent album. Tell me about that title. A lot of ideas come to mind when I think of those words together.
I'll tell you, Phil, this was the weirdest one of all. It was my method of working. Usually I start working with melodies, and I generally get a melody finished. I get a whole melodic structure. I get the verse, any chorus, maybe not, or any middle eights, any bridges, any intros, and I tend to get the whole melodic thing worked out beforehand before introducing the lyrics. But anyway, I started this one, and I got a melody that I thought was okay. I thought it's that's got some value, but it needs other parts. But as I was working on the melody, the whole this phrase came in. Soon the wayward faces will begin to fade. I went, wow, that's an interesting line. I wasn't ready to write any lines yet, but suddenly it just came in. Soon the way, and I thought, wow, that's really interesting. And it was like just taking something was like just saying, and I was like taking dictation, and it went through 3 verses, and I was writing it all down, and then the 4th verse just came. I thought, and it just came out. The final verse was, "You may not be Einstein or a clever man. You may never paint as fine as Van Gogh or Gauguin. Yet I love you dearly. More than these I send, for I am God of Einstein and of you, my friend." I went, whoa, that really kind of, I don't know whether it's God, I have no idea, but I thought, wow, it really kind of shook me. And I thought, okay, that's, and I cut a couple of verses out of the recorded version because they were quite dark, actually. And I was a bit worried that maybe a young person might get hold of this, might do something bit unfortunate, and I thought, no, I didn't want the responsibility, so I cut out the 2 middle verses and just used the first and fourth verse on it, and just left it as it was because it never happened to me before in that kind of a way. I mean, songs come in all sorts of kinds of ways, but nothing had really come to me in that way at all. So
Well, Richard, I
I
think
left it as
this song is going to have to wrap it up for us tonight. Or this
okay,
morning. This
fine.
morning for you. Thank you for rousing yourself at 5 o'clock in the morning in Wales. I much appreciate it. Do you have a project that you're currently working on?
Yes, I'm working on another album called Ecclesfield East. We've already got a few tracks towards it. Maybe sometime next year. That's what I'm working on at the moment.
Excellent. Well,
Nothing live planned. Well, I've got my singer now lives in Canada, so
Yep, I'm sure you can find another. You seem to be good at that. Richard Ellin, thank you for joining me on the show. Thank you for the music you've sent to me and that you're making with And Did Those Feet. Well, listen to I Am the God of Einstein, and when you have your next album together, I trust you and or Pat Tynan will let me know.
lovely. Thank you very much for having me, Phil. It's been a pleasure.
Okay, I hope to see you again soon, and we'll listen to I Am the God of Einstein.
Bye for now.
Soon the wayward faces will begin to fade, leaving only traces of the shame they've made, leading into something better than before. As the wayward faces now start to withdraw, you may not be Einstein or a clever man. You may never paint as fine as Van Gogh or Gauguin, yet I love you dearly. More than these I send, for I